Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new, is this a bonus episode?
Yeah.
Bonus episode of the Cologne podcast.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve.
And we're just three best friends going on a fragrance adventure, smelling fragrances and giving you our uneducated opinion.
Yeah, and this one today, Steve had reached out to you and said he really wanted me to smell this. Wanted my opinion, not yours, mine.
Yeah.
And you guys wouldn't even tell me the name, so I don't even know what I'm smelling today. It better not be something like Somber, or I'm going to start windmilling this whole fucking room.
Well, I don't think you'd hit Steve if you started doing that, but I've got a review, and we're still not going to tell you the name yet, just in case you've heard of this. So I've got a review that doesn't mention the name, and it's from Terrence Loves You over on Fragrantica.
Nice.
And he says, love it. Compliment magnet.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to balance that right now because I'm going to balance that by saying I wore this fragrance today and my wife didn't enjoy it so much.
Well, there's a sweaty balls accord that everybody kind of talks about.
Okay. All right.
So there we go. We've got some balance going into this. I want to just after Blue Atlas, I want to manage Ryan's expectations on this motherfucker because I don't want him disappointed. So.
For sure, yeah. Well, I tell you what, let's just jump right in.
Okay, here we go.
I'll tell you what I will say as well, just covering my own ass here. I find the opening to this fragrance is quite strong and intense, and it's like once it settles a little bit, it gets better. But I'll just stop talking and let you smell it.
I trust you, Steve.
Oh, that's a lot of spray.
I already know what this smells like.
Yeah, I knew you would.
Instantly. Opening's very red tobacco. That's what it smells like. Is that what it's compared to?
It does get compared to red tobacco.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is, hit him with the name, Steve.
So this is Hafez 1984 by Alexandria Fragrances. So this is an original creation by Hani. So yeah, though a lot of people do compare it to red tobacco, officially it's an original creation. It's not a clone.
I'm saying that because the openings are similar and kind of like that thing that I love about red tobacco. But what I feel like it does here better, I feel like that is not as nutty, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The clackers are not quite there. It's a little bit smoother. I feel like you may be able to actually enjoy this more because it's that.
Yeah, it's not as harsh in the opening for sure as red tobacco.
Dude, this is pretty sick. I like this so far.
Yes, mate. Yes.
So far,
Okay,
this is pretty good.
Well, I'm feeling good then because to be honest, I think it will only get better as it settles.
I definitely do smell that red tobacco opening that we talked about. Like you call it the multivitamin sort of smell. I do get that on the skin for sure.
Is that supposed to be like medicinal in a sense, technically, or no?
I don't know.
Well, a lot of people, like my wife finds this fragrance, this is why she doesn't like it so much. She thinks this is medicinal. That's the word that she uses.
Okay.
But to be fair, in her defense and defending the fragrance, I only put about 4 sprays on around my neck today, but then she went in close early doors, so she probably got quite an intense blast of it. Right. But I find this is similar to red tobacco. If anybody goes back to the red tobacco episode that we did, I kept referencing this fragrance because I find this one, it's got rum in the top, so it's a bit boozier, which I thought you might like, but then it's also a little bit sweeter, I find, than red tobacco, which is not normally your thing, but yeah.
I'll disagree on one thing. I don't think it's sweeter than red tobacco so far, but I actually am kind of glad because sometimes that can be a little nauseating. I feel like this is pretty well rounded so far. So far, this is pretty good.
Yeah, it can only go up from here as well.
You only do 4 sprays when you spray something on?
It depends. For this is strong. So I wore this, actually, when I went out this morning, I only put 2 sprays on. But yeah, like I basically come back, I had a shower and stuff, and then I put it on again. So then I went for 4 sprays. And to be honest, that was too much. I was only around the house today, so I could have just done 2 sprays because this is strong and it lasts. It performs really well.
So what do you smell when you spray it on, Steve? Like, let the listeners know what we're kind of smelling here.
I really like that kind of the sort of boozy rum accord that you get in the top. I really like that. I mean, this, what we should say as well, if it's not overtly obvious, is definitely more of a cold weather winter type scent. This is not something that you'll slap on in the high heat. So yeah, so I get that, and then it's that sort of sweet kind of spicy fruit type thing. I just think this is really pleasant.
Dried fruits, alcohol. There's going to be some tobacco later, I'm assuming.
Yes. I'm not used to Ryan like this. Normally he's got an opinion and this one's sort of, he's holding back because he's like, oh, this is actually all right, this. I need to just, he's breaking it down. I'm like,
I mean, it is literally light years ahead of Blue Atlas Atlantis that we smell. Like it's
but that's the king. That's the new king.
Not even close.
The niche king. Yeah,
this is really good. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed. Usually when I really like something, I'm quiet actually. But I really am kind of impressed with this because there is something about red tobacco that I love, and I actually gave my bottle away to my doctor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, my doctor found out about our podcast. And if you're listening, Mr. Doctor, hi. But he found out about it and he was like, hey, that's a pretty cool podcast. He's like, I really think I'd like that red tobacco. I was like, here you go. And I gave him a bottle. So
wow,
he's rocking it.
Wow. Damn. You must owe him your life. You've given away one of your favorite
He's definitely really cool. And he's got me on a weight loss thing right now. Thanks for that too, Mr. Doctor, for putting me on that. So I was too fat.
Well, he's not wrong there. I mean, he's a medical expert.
But no, this, I feel like if anybody's listening, if you really do like red tobacco, this is in the vein of that. Do
you think it's better?
I think it is doing some things better because I think if you're turned away from red tobacco like Mike is, that opening is super harsh. And I feel like this one is nowhere near as harsh, but it kind of has that same smell.
Yeah, it definitely has still that twinge in the opening.
Yeah.
But it's not like red tobacco for sure.
This is pretty damn smooth, man. I'm being for real. That's actually pretty good.
Well, if you're obsessed with it, Ryan, you're going to spend $120 for 100 mil of this.
Okay.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Oh, you don't like it now, huh?
No. It's funny because, to be fair, I mean, Alexandria Fragrances have never been like cheap in inverted commas. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, I think it's the same story. Traditionally, they always used to do 30ml bottles.
Right.
So, and then obviously because most of their fragrances are clones or inspirations, a lot of people go, well, save money, get the Alexandria Fragrances version because they're really good, and they are, on the whole, they're pretty damn good, to be honest. And they are cheaper, but then when you work out the pounds per mil, because it's a smaller bottle, the 30ml bottle, the pound per mil isn't always it's usually cheaper, but it's not like loads cheaper than the original in many cases.
Yeah.
But now more over the last, I think probably the last year or so, Alexandria have, I think again in the UK and the US, they've sort of upped their game. So they're doing like bigger bottles, like 50ml, and I think they're doing some 100ml bottles. And certainly in the UK, and I think the US is the same, they've changed the bottles as well to make them look really nice. They've got some very nice fancy posh bottles, so they don't look like generic sort of clone inspiration bottles. They look really nice and on your shelf. So
yeah, they do.
Again, this is probably bumping the prices up of the actual fragrance.
Well, I was about to say two things. I was going to say the atomizer we got this in, the little twist. I love the matte black finish. It looks pretty sick. But my other question is, because you keep saying in America and in the UK, did they ship this out of America?
Yeah, there's one for the UK, and then I'm guessing there's at least a different warehouse or different representation for the US.
Nice.
So it's the exact same fragrances, but there's a like an Alexandria Fragrances UK, and they're sort of like an official, sort of distribution.
But they started there first, correct?
No, so originally it's started in the US by Hafez.
Okay.
He created it, and then I don't know how the UK version come out, but there's a guy that sort of manages the Alexandria Fragrances UK, and he gets all his supplied direct from source, and then he distributes into the UK sort of thing. So
gotcha.
I believe that as far as I know, that's the sort of situation. So that's what's quite good, and I've done a lot of Alexandria Fragrances on my YouTube channel, and the advantage is, it appeals to a wider audience because you can get it in the UK, you can get it in the US, because quite often with clone houses, they're quite country specific. They don't necessarily ship globally and all this sort of stuff. So it's quite nice that everybody can kind of get access to them. So
they've got a couple of good ones that we've tried. Their Ani is really good. The Leighton
one was really good.
The Leighton is Royal Equestrian. So I've got to shout them out. So the first time I ever smelt like the Leighton DNA was Royal Equestrian, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And most people know it's one of my absolute favourite fragrances of all time. So since then, I've actually bought like the original Leighton. But I've sort of spoken about the difference between the two. I think I actually prefer Royal Equestrian to Leighton, to be honest. There's some subtle differences, and I think I prefer the Alexandria version. So
I feel like that happens a lot with certain clones where sometimes it's not as good, but sometimes it's better because it does a certain thing. Like Royal Equestrian's a little on the sweeter side, I feel like.
Yes.
And then there's that Oud Wood clone that I really like.
Yeah.
That's good. They're also, I could be wrong, but I think it's called Untethered, and it's Alexandria's ombre leather, which is pretty nice as well.
Yeah, I remember the Royal Equestrian one. That one, it really is good. I don't know if I prefer it over Leighton yet, because I haven't really back to hardcore, but I felt like it wasn't as Leighton kind of has a little bit more medicinal, I think, hit to it. That menthol, whatever's on top.
Yeah,
it's so funny because what my wife said about this fragrance, Hafez 1984, she also doesn't appreciate Leighton like I do. She again uses that term medicinal. She finds that sort of, because she thought when she smelled Hafez on me today, she thought I was wearing Leighton, because she's going, I don't know why you love that one so much. It smells medicinal. I was like, nah, this isn't the fragrance you think it is. Because I wear Leighton and Royal Equestrian a lot. But unfortunately she's not a fan. But it's one of my all-time favourites. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure.
Well, let me ask you gentlemen this. Who's wearing this one?
Wait, well, first, Ryan, let me tell you about the trend of this fragrance.
Okay, go ahead.
Because that's what we do here on the podcast, price and trend.
That's right.
And I guess it came out in 2018, maybe?
Sounds about right. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. You're supposed to be an expert on this fragrance.
Yeah, we thought you were the...
It's fine. So
sorry.
His face just lit up because he just opened up a new browser screen.
Yeah, hold on. I'm Googling it now.
Well, in 2018, it was a hot commodity. It was pretty hyper active there on Fragrantica, but now not so much, probably because there's 4 or 5 different fragrances that smell like this.
Yeah.
One's a Parfum de Marly, one's red tobacco, one's this, one's in a similar vein.
Do you think it's closer to the Parfums de Marly one than it is the red tobacco one?
Maybe so, yeah.
I was kind of thinking that.
What's someone called Carlisle?
I think so.
Yes, Carlisle's a good fragrance as well. I mean, it has get compared. I think most people, when they smell this, they sort of compare it to red tobacco. I mean, if you probably scroll through Fragrantica, that's probably one that gets mentioned the most. But
for sure, yeah.
But yeah, this was released in 2018. But this is one of their most popular fragrances still.
Really?
Shall I do... This has become my little role on this podcast now, which because you guys don't normally do this. Shall I read out the notes?
Yeah, let's do it.
I was going to say the official notes, but the unofficial notes on Fragrantica are tobacco, rum, patchouli, vanilla, and exotic spices. I mean, that sounds sexy, doesn't it? I like that.
Yeah.
Exotic spices. And that's it. That's
some
it.
Of
They
those
don't.
erotic spices.
Yeah, this is probably fucking basil or something.
Yeah, they don't list top, middle, and bottom or like heart notes or anything like that. They just list those. So, but you definitely get the rum, 100%, and you do get that tobacco kind of later on. And as we said, I kind of get that. I guess the sweetness comes from vanilla with that sort of with the spices. You get that sort of fruity, sweet, like a spiced rum, I guess, kind of thing, isn't it?
I'm still shocked at how kind of well rounded it is. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, I feel like
it's good, isn't it?
It really is good.
If you love this vibe, it's really good. It's a good fragrance.
I'll ask again, who's wearing it?
Mm-hmm.
So who do y'all think would be wearing something like this? Steve?
I mean, I'm wearing it. I think... this is an interesting one. If I don't want to get, blur the lines with your other podcast and get all FBI kind of profiler. But,
do it.
Yeah. But if you think about it, probably someone that's actually wearing this particular fragrance rather than just this DNA is probably someone that's a bit of a frag head because they probably know fragrances and they've sort of found like the Alexandria is a clone house through that. And then they've gone, they've got an original creation. I'll smell that and try it. So there's probably somebody that sort of is quite well informed, relatively speaking, with fragrances. And I think this is more masculine. It could be unisex, but I imagine definitely more of a guy wearing this, more of a winter scent. I think you probably could wear it in an office, but I wouldn't go too heavy. It's probably more of an outdoor. I quite like where this comes into its own as kind of either going on a cold winter walk, or I've worn this at like a Christmas fair or what do you call them, carnival type thing, where it's quite cold, it's dark, but there's and that is kind of lovely. Then it's that sort of warm, like say spiced rum type accord that's kind of warming and just pleasant and nice to wear.
I think cold weather this thing would look good in for sure.
If you're not the Wajan, Angel Share, Tobacco Vanille guy, where you're wearing really sweet boozy tobacco fall fragrances, I feel like this is the other route to go, which is not as sweet. There's still some sweetness to it, but it's not like dessert sweet.
Yeah.
You know, this is a good cooler weather that still has a little, leans more on the spicier side, less on the sweet side.
I actually think you might be able to wear this in an office because I think it's tamer. It's not as synthetic as something like red tobacco. So because of that, I feel like you can actually wear it more than you think.
Yeah. As I say, I think this is one of those fragrances, it almost gets better because as it settles down, it loses some of that sort of medicinal synthetic vibe and it just comes up really nice. And it's one of those fragrances, it performs well, so it lasts.
Yeah.
And I wore this earlier in the week and it's one of those ones you'll be wearing it and then into the afternoon you'll get a whiff of it on your jumper or whatever and you're like, oh damn, that smells good. It's one of those ones that's really, really nice. And this is one of those fragrances quite often I'll not wear it for a while, probably because it is more of a sort of a weather specific fragrance. And then I'll wear it and I'll think, I'm going to wear that again tomorrow. And I'll wear it the next day, which is quite rare for me, but I've done that.
Yeah, I know that when like you wear red tobacco and I smell it from you wearing it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's really good.
But then you won't get nowhere near
But
it.
I don't usually wear it. Yeah. I think I have 20 mil of it and I haven't touched it.
Damn.
So do you prefer this then?
I think so. And I'm going to get a little
bougie
here to say this, but I think it might be that it's smoother because I would almost bet the oil concentration is higher on this than on red tobacco.
You think so?
And I think that's why it may be a little smoother as well.
Good point.
Interesting. Actually, I've had compliments on this fragrance as well, which sort of surprised me because as much as I really enjoyed it and do enjoy it, I've never considered it as a compliment getter. I've always just thought, because it's quite a powerful, sort of notable, I almost thought of it almost as divisive because I could just imagine people either like it or not. So I was surprised that I get compliments on it. But yeah, I remember wearing it once. I put it on, I was going out one evening or whatever, and on the way out, I drove out and I stopped at like a corner store, like corner shop type thing to go and get, I don't know if it's getting a drink or something. And the girl behind the counter actually complimented me and, oh, you smell, I think she said, what is this? She said, oh, you smell incredible. I was like, oh, thanks. And then I should have just played it cool and just left it there. But then I started telling her what it was. She clearly didn't care. It was so like, I was like, oh, it's Hafez 1984 by Alexandria. And she was just looked at me as like, what the fuck? I don't like, she didn't go, oh, what is it you're wearing? It smells so good. You must tell me. I should have just played it cool and just, oh, thanks. And just walked off and being that really cool guy that smelled good. But I just didn't. I completely ruined the whole scenario.
God, sometimes I think we can get like a little too hyper excited about fragrances. And then it's like we're trying to share it with the world.
Yeah, we're all super nerdy about it.
Yeah. Oh, you'll never believe the tuberose in this one. It's really good.
It's the same with any hobby, though. If you're knowledgeable about something and somebody mentions it or brings it up in conversation, you almost then sort of want to show off your knowledge and also you want to connect with people and on a common thing. So
okay, guys, skip it,
scample it,
own it.
What are you gonna do, Ryan?
I've been debating while you guys have been talking here in my head. I do thoroughly believe it's done better than red tobacco. The only problem is, I just looked it up, red tobacco on our fragrances is $79 for,
120.
Yeah, 120 ml. But it is harsher. It's loud. People are going to smell it.
Yeah, and I was going to say this when you were talking about getting compliments, Steve, is that the reason why Ryan loves red tobacco so much is he went through a phase, he was spraying it so heavy, but God, every time we were together, he was always getting complimented.
Nonstop.
On it. It was annoying how much compliments he was getting.
I think this performs better than red tobacco for me, but then, yeah.
I think it's done better. I think it smells better, technically. I mean, they smell close, but I think this smells better to me. I like it, but in my head, I'm debating price point now. It's like, do I pay less and get something that's a little bit more screechier, but kind of the same, or I get something that's really done well and a little bit more?
Yeah,
but I mean, you could say that about anything, isn't it? You could say, well, I might as well just get a cheap, broken fucking pickup rather than something that's really nice that I enjoy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's everything. Yeah, where are you financially when you're making that decision?
But this is not an expensive. Sorry, I'm getting too defensive now. But this is not an expensive fragrance, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not
really.
It's not. Yeah. Like, I think it's...
really.
I mean, I would...
How much did you say was 120 for 100 ml?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty...
For the US.
That's pretty good.
I mean, anything sub 150 for, I feel like 100 mil is like a badass price, no matter what.
And I would say this is definitely niche. It's better than most designer shit.
Do they do 50 or 30 mil bottles?
They do, yeah. So they have like decorative bottles that are 160 mil, and then 55 mil and 30 mil are like the square.
Yeah, there'd be like, whether my bottle is like this sort of. Obviously, the listeners can't see this, but yeah, I'm just showing off my little square bottle. Yeah, so you could just get a smaller bottle. You could, if you wanted, but yeah.
Ultimately, it's a buy for me because it's done so damn good. It's really good. And I think it is better than red tobacco.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted you to say.
I think you're keeping score, Steve, on these. Every time you recommend something, now you're going like, oh, did I get them?
It seriously is a good fragrance. I'm loving it. I do like it for real.
I would say if a gun was pointed to my head and they wanted me to choose to buy this or red tobacco, I would opt for this every day of the week. But I don't really lean into these sort of fragrances, especially because I'm with you 90% of the time, Ryan. So you're going to be wearing something like this, and it would just be Night at the Roxbury if we were both wearing crazy shit.
Aside from those really salty fragrances that you love, what do you lean into? What would be your...
Talking to him or me?
Sorry, Mike.
Okay, go ahead.
So, because we've kind of, mine are two. I kind of typically, I like some sweet fragrances. Then I actually quite like the sort of basic blue fragrances because I wear them a lot to work as well.
Yeah.
We know Ryan likes stuff with some clackers and we like this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Typically not too sweet. I know you're not a kind of sweet kind of guy. So where are you at, Mike? Because you're just a bit woolly on a lot of fragrances, aren't you? You're just a bit fucking middle of the road. Like, it's nice. Like, come on, put your fucking stake in the ground and stake where you're at. Come on.
Let's see. So if I would have to say favorite fragrances, it's going to be Luna Rossa Carbon. It's going to be Santal 33, like a Elysium or Aventus, some of those. I'm the most
clean, I would say. I'd say that clean, fresh, but clean fragrances.
Yes.
Typically.
Clean citrus. If we can get that in there, great. I'd love to have a little bit of that.
But like Ambroxan, musk, those kind of clean, kind of. That's in my head. I mean, I'm not a perfumer, but yeah, you sort of in your own head, you break fragrances down into different styles and genres, and so okay.
Yeah, the fragrance that I've worn the absolute most. This may be a shocker, and we're actually going to do an episode with former scent geek Chris on this one.
Oh, nice.
Is Moleculo 1. I've wore that more than any other fragrance. I've gone through 2.5 bottles now of that.
Have you smelled Moleculo 1?
Yes. I mean, if you are the ultimate uber basic bitch.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
It gets no more basic bitch than... Aside from that, I guess you could argue it's not a designer fragrance, but I mean...
Yeah.
I'm not taking shots because, I dip my toe in that basic bitch arena. So, but that is like the ones you've listed there are like,
for sure.
Clean, like I say, musk, lavender, they're clean fresh. But then Moleculo 1, that is the ultimate basic fragrance. But But I say that, but don't get me wrong, I'm not taking shots at that fragrance because it is done very well and it is its own thing and it is, it's legendary status really, Moleculo 1. Everybody knows it and what it does and what it can do and how you use it and stuff. So
it's not my vibe, but when he wears it, it's louder than we all think for sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of people layer it. I rarely layer it. I normally just wear it by itself.
But I mean, what's interesting with that one, it's renowned for being one of those fragrances that works with your skin chemistry and smells different on different people. It's kind of, that's its thing and that's its party trick really. On me, it comes across as a bit, I get like that sort of woody vibe, like the pencil shavings that some people say. I kind of get that on my skin.
That's kind of what you say.
Well, no, I say it smells more like cedar kind of shavings for Mike. It does smell really good and pleasant on you, man.
Yeah, I like those. Straight to Heaven by Killian. That's another one. I mean, it's just like, for me, it's a little out of my price range to like just be wearing that constantly, but I do love that smell.
Yeah, have you smelled that one, Steve?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh my God.
was trying to tell Steve how much of a basic bitch I am, and then he's like, "No, you're always quoting these niche fragrances. You wish you were a man of the people,
but it turns out that's all a facade. It's all lies.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually got a pencil mustache, and I'm smoking from a giant pipe. And
have you smelled Frederick Mall's Mus Ravageur? Have you smelled that?
No. See, look at you, fucking motherfuckers! All these like niche fragrances. Before we come on, you're like, oh, we're just all the same, basic. We just like designer. I can't remember the last time you mentioned a designer fragrance on this.
Hey, here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing about that one. That'll be live by the time this airs, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we did an episode on it early on when we were just starting off, and for some reason Todd fucked up. I don't know. We never posted that episode, and we forgot about it. But in the back of my head, I'd always remembered it as a shitty fragrance. I didn't like it. I was like, oh, it's kind of in my head dusty or something. I think we both didn't like it. But then a listener of our show sent us a discovery set of Frederick Mall from actual Frederick Mall website, and we grabbed that one because we'd smelled it before in our head. And
I thought the episode was posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I sprayed out of a 2 mil decant just in the air, not on anything. And it
1.2 mil.
1.2 mil. Small fucking fragrance. And dude, it's insane. It blew our fucking tops off, man.
Yeah, lit the whole room up.
We walk outside of the studio, and this is 10 feet away. On the other side of the door's shut, and it was following us all the way over there. It smells fucking insane.
Yeah, it's a classic Ryan fragrance. If I thought about what could be Ryan to a T.
It's got 2 big plums on it. It is delicious, dude. It's delicious.
2 delicious plums.
Just trust me.
Look,
even Mike was blown away. He even went that night, and so did I, and we came back the next day. We were going to both buy it and didn't tell each other.
We were just looking up prices and stuff.
He sold on it. He was sold on it.
And then I was reminded that I'm a niche snob with designer budget. So,
but we found the old audio, and in the old audio, everything we were like, we didn't like it. We didn't care for it. And then even Mike said, you know what, give me a year, I may like this. And then he says that in the audio, and sure enough, a year from that point, he loves it. It's crazy.
There you go.
You need to smell that one. Trust me, smell that one.
So it's more of a powerful, strong oomph type. What's its scent profile? Do you know the notes or anything?
It reminds me of have you smelled Scandal by Raja Parfums? Yes. So it's like if Scandal and Ani from Nichonnet had a baby.
Fucked.
Yeah. No like romance about it. They just got sweaty and nasty and procreated.
Yeah. It's actually a terrible description he gave for it, but it's musky vanilla, and it's done really fucking good. I'm shocked. Very old school gentleman. Got some balls.
It's a little nasty up top, though. Yeah. It's got a little skankiness on top.
I mean, you've just described us there. Gentlemen that are a bit nasty up top. There we go. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. The trifecta here. Okay. That was a long way around for me to say, I think it's a sample.
Sample. So I mean, it's a straight up buy for me.
Yeah.
It's a buy. It's a buy for me. It's really good.
It's just a little too rich for my taste. It's really fucking loud.
I'm shocked. It's so smooth. I'm shocked you wouldn't like this.
Well, I think it's just so loud that it's not like I don't think I don't wear a ton of fragrances that are this loud.
The next thing you do where you're just going out in the world, you should just try it on, just brace yourself and just put it on and see what kind of interaction you get. I think you'd be shocked.
I'm looking forward to seeing what your one night stand is as well, because as I say, the longer this is on, it sort of loses some of that. It lasts and it performs really well, but it loses some of that intensity, and it just becomes this really pleasant, sort of subtly sweet kind of fragrance that's just, like I say, if it's on your jumper, or if I've worn like a hoodie or a jacket or something, and then I pick that jacket up the next day and I'm like, oh man, that smells really good, but it loses that intense kind of sort of boozy richness to it. Yeah. And it just becomes really quite pleasant. So I'd be interested to see on your skin how it kind of goes on the one night stand.
I think he's going to turn around on it. I think if you wear this out, just wear it out.
I know. I'm not denying how great it smells. It smells great. For me, if I wore it, I probably have to spray it on the back of my shirt so it's not hitting me in the nose all damn day, because it is a strong one. But I know if it's anything like Red Tobacco, which I know that the longer it goes, the better it gets. It just keeps getting better and better and better. And this one already started off in a better spot than Red Tobacco does.
For sure.
It's straight up buy for you, Steve. It's a buy for you, Ryan. I almost forgot your name. Sorry, I just get so transfixed on me and Steve's relationship.
Go to Milan and hang out with Chris and you message Steve all the time. Yeah, it's easy to forget people's names, huh?
You send me a little video of you dancing.
Oh, yeah. That was a special video just for you, by the way.
He did that in the buff.
Next time, do it with your pants on there, yeah? Yeah.
My bad. Again, we share a lot of things. And,
well, that's today's episode. I like this one. Steve, thank you for bringing something and repairing your reputation since last episode, bringing that Blue Atlas shit on here.
I stand by that because wasn't recommending it as a fragrance. I was recommending it as a podcast episode, which I think it was a good one. So there you go.
It's our turn now to recommend a fragrance to Steve for an episode. So off air, we'll figure something out. We got to line up another one.
Yeah, I think so too.
To see
it's going to be some £1,500 niche fragrance because that's how you guys roll now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That you own 0.05 milliliter because that's all you can afford.
Yeah, for sure. They just send us like tester strip that's already been sprayed. It's like $30.
Here's a rag that I wiped around my neck. Just
for sure. Okay, well, big thanks to Steve, and thank you, Ryan, for keeping your shirt on. And until next time,
spray it up, y'all.
Y'all.